I'll just give a Bible reading in the book of Genesis, the story of creation, the Torah, the beginning of the Bible, an interpretation that shows how it fits the theory of evolution. It's written symbolically, see, and in the beginning God. There you have infinity, so the Great Spirit created the heaven and the earth. They are spirit and flesh, so and they collide, and Big Bang, that's the start of creation. It's kind of, we fell from dream time there, you see. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So the material things, the visible, fleshly things made of matter, were yet to take form. Everything from the Big Bang, everything just blew out, and there was no form in it all. It was all kind of void, and darkness was upon the surface of the deep. Everywhere was kind of dark. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. It's kind of what God's Spirit was doing to begin with, was collecting the waters together as gravity and stuff was kind of began to move the waters together and create orbs and that. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. That's where a lot of the gases collected together and ignited, and we had the beginning of the suns, the stars. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So He collected the suns and they, they were gathered and made, sort of thing, and made separate from the void and the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And evening and morning were the first day. So one rules a dominion of time, and the other rules another dominion of time, sort of thing, day and night. The light be called day, and the darkness, the realm of the darkness, night. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So the collection of the planets, the waters were gathering together to form planets, and there became a firmament between the waters that were a mist and clouds, and the waters that were the orb itself. There were waters that were a mist and cloud, and there were around the orb, and there were waters that were the orb itself. It was the forming of the planets, see? And the firmament in the midst of the waters, let it divide the waters from waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and morning were the second day. So He formed the planets, and they were made of water, sort of thing, liquid, and the above were the waters that were mist and cloud. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together to one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So land came out of the waters that were under and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. So the earth came out of the water, and it was gathered to one place. It was the original Arnhem land, one land mass, and the seas were one mass. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So the grass, and then herb, and then trees. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in itself after his kind, and God saw that it was good. And as evening and morning were the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So the mist that were above, the misty, cloudy, it was still misty and cloudy, and you couldn't see the sun and the moon from the planet, sort of thing. It was still mist and cloud, and it was all foggy, and you couldn't see the sun and the moon or the stars. But it all kind of cleared up and formed actual real cloud and clear sky, and you could see the sun and the moon. So there were lights in the sky, one in the day, one in the night, and stars. And as the globe spun and around the sun, as well as around itself, round and round, it would mark times and seasons, and it would have a bearing on the weather on the earth, and as to where seasons and where the earth is situated according to the rest of the universe has an influence for signs and zodiac, and the time and space has influence on personality traits and stuff like that. So I mark time and signs and seasons. So, let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning, and with the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So the living creatures then came out of the waters. They were given life in the waters. It was through the movement of the ocean and stuff like that. Like the living creatures spawn within the ocean. They kind of spawned within the ocean there, and then the living creatures were living in the water. And for instance, the the streams and creeks and that, symbolically or kind of, how do you explain it? But a mosquito came out of the creek or something, and then that were away, for instance, that flying creatures and creatures, uh, it came out of the water like a mosquito, and then a dragonfly, and then evolved into flying creatures and that sort of thing. Evolution, see, and God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after its kind, and every winged fowl after its kind, and God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And there was evening and morning with the fifth day. And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after its kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and God saw that it was good. It's like, then creatures came out of the ocean upon the earth, and it was the fact that there was earth, that the creatures that lived on the land were brought about. So that's why to let the earth bring forth living creatures. Well, it came out of the ocean, the life, and they were like a snake with legs, like the Loch Ness monster, like a snake with legs that came out of the ocean. It kind of went two ways. It evolved into creatures with legs, and in the beginning they were like reptiles, like dinosaurs. See, it was a snake with legs caught out of the ocean like a Loch Ness monster, and then reptiles came with legs like dinosaurs, and they were like reptiles and had legs, and it evolved, and yeah. And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth on the earth. So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created him. Male and female, he created them. Evolution be apes, men, angels, and gods. That's what evolution: apes, men, angels, and gods. There are new technologies coming about that. There was a disc that was discovered near Roswell in 1947, and it offers time travel. I believe, and I've heard about documentaries and that, back when it occurred, and that I heard, and the way of the future is to angels rule over mankind back at Eden, and from there they get the fuel with the idea of Metatron's cube, and then a spirit compound of fuel that doesn't stop burning, and it takes them to the stars. Now, back there you've got Eden and Atlantis, and the angels ruled and built a paradise for evolving man, for mankind, and some of the angels did the wrong thing, and were left behind, and they built Atlantis, and the continent sunk in the times of Noah, and that's what happened with Noah's Ark, and there were a remnant left for Adam's lineage through Noah. So they go to the stars, and Metatron's cube is a spirit compound, or a compound that I believe the fuel to get to the stars, a fuel that doesn't stop burning. And then eventually we become gods in that, and they may have power over matter, the gods, and some. Well, I heard the original disc could appear and disappear if you press something on it, and but there is one source. There's only one God, and there's one source of all things, and all attain oneness with the source on their own level. We all become a God sort of thing through time, and but there's only one source itself, and none of us can claim that. Only God. But yeah, we all attain oneness with it though, and become a God, but we're not God, so to speak. And gods look like men. They just the same, look like us, and so we were created in the likeness of God. We look like gods. They look the same image in appearance. It's the same meat-coated skeleton but yeah, and kind of and God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which the fruit, tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work. Well, it goes into another chapter, and he makes a garden for mankind, a paradise, and they do the wrong thing. They said you're not allowed. You can eat of anything except the forbidden fruit, which were the grape, the blood of the lamb, wine, drunkenness. And they did the wrong thing. They went, oh no, we've done the wrong thing. And for instance, it looks like they were naked, they were hiding from God, we did the wrong thing. So, well, that's happened, sort of thing that gives them clothes. That's done, you don't have to hide. And they were cursed not to be able to eat from the tree of life, not to be able to take spirit form and go to the stars. They were, and they kind of, they're not immortal. They were not immortal. They don't live on when their meat-coated skeleton dies, and they don't go to the stars. They have to continue to become angels. Now, you see, the technologies were there, but they did the wrong thing. So, and there were different curses, one for the son of man, one for the daughter of woman, and one for the serpent. and kind of Adam, for instance, just an example. Adam were approximately 4000 BC, as dated in the Bible. Um, but the indigenous Adam would have been approximately 40,000 BC, and he was the first man that had where it went from Neanderthal man, who was still part ape, into an actual man, the indigenous Adam, and his opponent were the serpent, the clan of the leader of the serpent clan of Neanderthal man, and he kind of and kind of, for instance, the tiger were the king of all prehistoric dinosaurs, and that it could feast on every single dinosaur, the saber-toothed tiger. Now, the original serpent that crawled out of the ocean, they were the original kind of dinosaur when they became reptiles, but it evolved to the saber-toothed tiger in that prehistoric jungle, and the tiger was the king of and as the tiger and the dragon, see the spirit and flesh, and yet again, it's like Adam and the serpent, and nothing could kill the saber-toothed tiger either. It would the beast of all beasts could feast on everything, eat it alive, tear chunks of it, shreds, and nothing could kill it in a sense. Nothing could kill one. But the serpent could. The serpent could poison, had the venom, and it was the only thing that could kind of kill a tiger. It was kind of so. Anyway, just interesting. That's the opening of the Bible and the story of Genesis, the story of creation in the book of Genesis.